Anybody in here watching Man in the Arena right now? Tom Brady stuff? No? Wow. So nobody's heard this story. That's going to be pretty cool. So, knew I was going to do this like 3 months ago and had a conversation with Pastor Joel and lots of God moments, right? And I wanted to try to bring it together. I think everybody that's come up here said that. They said, I got so many. How do I narrow it down to one? And so I was sitting here trying to figure out, like, how do I narrow it down to one? It kind of all comes together, right? Like God's plan is so long, it's so vast, it's so much more than we are, right? We think 10 minutes or a day or a month in our life is so important, but when you look at the big picture, it becomes so small. So Tom Brady talked about this story, and it hit me. This was on the episode last week. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to use this. So it tells the story of the Chinese farmer. Chinese farmer wakes up one morning and goes outside, and his horse is gone. Village comes up to the Chinese farmer and says, oh my gosh, this is so terrible. Your horse is gone. What are you going to do? Chinese farmer goes, maybe. Chinese farmer wakes up the next morning. Horse comes back, doesn't even come back by himself, brings 10 more horses with him. Village comes up to him and goes, oh my gosh, this is a crazy blessing. How did this happen? Not only did your horse come back, brought 10 horses with him. Farmer goes, maybe. Chinese farmer's son next day goes out and he's trying to help break some of the 10 new horses. Horse bucks him off. Farmer's son breaks his leg. Village comes up to him and goes, this is unbelievable, this is terrible. Your workforce is done, he's got a broken leg, he's not gonna be able to do anything. Farmer goes, maybe. 2 days later, Chinese government shows up at the farmer's door. They're there to draft his son. They can't draft his son. They walk inside, they go, he's got a broken leg, can't go to war. Village comes up to him and goes, you are so lucky. How is it possible that your son doesn't have to get drafted because he broke his leg? Farmer goes, maybe. Right? As I'm watching this, I was captivated. I was having dinner with my family, watching on my cell phone, which my wife doesn't always love, but it's the few little bit of time that I kind of get to watch some things sometimes. I said, this story's unreal. And even my wife was like, wow, that's pretty neat. When you think of the Tom Brady story, it's pretty cool in there. So I think our God moments are that, right? It's not maybes. It's everything is with intentionality. We just don't necessarily know it now. So my story, my God moments, I had a great upbringing. My parents got divorced when I was 2, so it makes sense as to why I talk about that now. But so primarily raised by a single mother for most of my life. Yes, Kevin was my uncle, so it was unique being incredibly poor here and then getting to witness some of the incredible opportunities that Kevin provided in my life. But went on and I went to normal path, right? My dad was actually in education most of his life. So when I was getting out of high school, I was a good high school student, 3.8 GPA, path was that, go to college, do all the right stuff. And my 3rd semester in college, teacher had us reading a book I didn't believe in. I was like, this is craziness. She's calling on me. She's like, what's your opinion? I was like, please just I just want to get through this class. I don't want to talk about it. Like, no, what's your opinion? I'm like, this is the craziest thing I've ever read. Does anybody actually buy into this? She looks at me, she goes, this is a liberal arts school. If you don't like it, you should leave. I left. I was like, awesome. My dad was a professor at Concordia at the time. Called Dad, I'm gonna leave college. Needless to say, he was less than thrilled. But I knew I wanted to do something with cars, so my dad looked at me and goes, just go sell cars then. I said, Dad, I'm not gonna go sell cars. 2 weeks later, I got in the car business. Weird, right? Like, all right, well, got in the car business. And it took me about 3 years from starting, and I became the youngest general manager in the state of Wisconsin at 23 years old. Life was pretty good. Income was great. Somehow the career came natural to me. I spent about 12 years in the car business. About 8 years, 9 years into it, my dad had a stroke. So 59 years old, my dad had a stroke. This is a guy that when my dad was 23, literally wrestled Victor the Wrestling Bear, if anybody here is old enough to remember that. And he was the only one that actually beat Victor the Wrestling Bear. So a long fall for him at that point. But after 6 months of rehab, we realized Dad was not going to recover. So if anybody in here has experienced this, you understand the financial strain that creates. My dad was going to need to be put in assisted living before his 60th birthday. It's a little unusual, but all of his assets were gone. My dad had some of these little teaching pensions and things, and because of an illiquid pension, they were going to kick my dad out of assisted living because he couldn't get put on Medicaid. Title 19 family care, for any of you that are familiar with that. So my wife and I we had to hire an attorney, and it cost about $18,000 to get this attorney just to fight to get my dad put on Medicaid for him to be able to stay in his place. But right, there's probably reasons that things became so hard to do. So my mom and her husband on the other side obviously knew what was going on, and made some change in their plan. And from this experience, I decided I was gonna switch directions, and it frustrated me enough. I was gonna leave the car business. People thought I was crazy. They're like, you got life pinned. Why would you leave? This is nuts. I said, sometimes we don't know why we do what we do, right? But there was a reason to do it. And I said I wanted some freedom, I wanted some flexibility. You talk about upper and lower story. The lower story I thought was pretty easy to understand. I'm working 70 hours a week right now. I want to be a dad. That was a driving factor. I said I want to have some opportunities to hang out with my kids. I don't want to be gone. So that helped me rationalize the decision that I was going to make, from stable career, got life going well, to zero guaranteed anything. And I decided to open up a financial planning business. Talk to my mom every day about that, and she goes, whatever you're going to do, you're going to have success. That was super helpful, obviously, to hear when we're going through challenges and trying to make tough decisions. But I just want to do something different, and I want to help people in that space that I ended up in, where I actually had an advisor at the time, and I called him and I said, hey, what do I do? And he goes, nothing. I hate that answer, by the way. It is never nothing. There's always something we can do. Yeah, there wasn't something he could sell us. There wasn't anything in that space, but there was opportunities. So when you start as a financial planner, you go into your natural market, right? You call your friends, family. I'm sure some of you in here have it. You've got somebody in the business, and they called you and said, let me help you with your plan. If you haven't listened to them, you should. Typically bring good stuff. But so brought my mom and her husband in, and went down their financial plan. My mom, we grew up, again, as they got divorced when I was 2, challenges early on. So my mom was late to the game of saving for retirement. So she sat down, she goes, I want to just save for retirement. I said, awesome. We'll definitely help with that. But I'm looking at the overall plan, and I said, Mom, there's a big gap here. If something were to happen to you, my mom was the breadwinner. My stepdad did all right as well. But my mom certainly worked her way up in a company. She was an executive in IT, doing very well. She was about 55 years old. So I said, these next 10 years are important. If by chance something were to happen, we don't think anything's going to happen, but if by chance something's going to happen, just looking at it logically, we should put something in place. 3 months after getting that policy, my mom was diagnosed with brain and lung cancer. For those that know life insurance, there's a 2-year reconsideration period from the insurance company. We did everything right. But when she first went to the doctor, they said, we could fight it. Things are going to be good. It was November of 2019. Went to a doctor appointment end of November. And doctor said, hey, we're going to be all right. We got to switch gears a little bit, but, everything should be good. 2 weeks later, my mom, we were all supposed to go to the Dells for our annual Christmas trip. My mom said she wasn't feeling great. She wasn't going to go right now. Pre-COVID, so nothing crazy there. But we decided that we were going to go yet. She was going to be okay. We'll be back in a few days. Got a call the next day from my stepdad saying he had to take her into the emergency room. I was able to get there the next day. And the moment I got there, if anybody's had people pass away of cancer, you knew this was the end. So in 2 weeks, she went from, hey, it's going to be good, or that's what the doctor told us, to it's not. My mom passed away January 2nd, 2020. 9 months after we delivered that life insurance policy. Without that life insurance policy, my stepdad has no chance of being involved in our lives. He would have had to move back up north. Would not have been able to keep the house down here. It's unbelievable, right? I mean, we use that word, but it's not unbelievable. It's very believable. Everything that happened for a reason, right? I told myself it was one reason, but the reality is there was a guiding force that had me doing this for many other reasons. I switched those careers for a reason. My dad probably had that stroke to force me to do it. It all leads up to this. From those experiences, we also started a nonprofit called Paintings for Pediatrics. We had our first big gala last year, raised about $60,000. We tell the stories of what families that are dealing with pediatric cancer go through. All these things, right? You have goods, you have bads. They're all our maybes, right? It's horrible that my mom passed. You know, thank God I'm a Christian, and you know I get some solitude in knowing she's in a better spot now. But I think back to footprints in the sand, and know that through all those challenges, right? It's not. We have somebody guiding us. We have somebody carrying us. Doesn't leave us at those points. He carries us through those points. And as you start to look at the big picture, as we get older, we certainly realize that all the things we do, all of our actions, are not of our own. These are my God moments. These are my maybes. Every step along the way, everybody you meet, every opportunity. I loved Kevin's talk to create gratitude. I think we have to do more of that. I'm so blessed to get to see these paintings and understand some of the challenges. And when you look at those, it becomes much easier to create gratitude in your life. Those are my God moments.